So Bethesda made an announcement. Actually, Bethesda made 3 announcements, and I think that's really interesting and really important for all of us as Bethesda fans. So what am I talking about? Well, first and foremost, let me kind of make a segregation or clear segregation. Bethesda Softworks is a video game publisher and the people behind things like Doom, Wolfenstein, and Prey. Bethesda Game Studios is a game developer, and they are the people behind Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, and things like Fallout Shelter. The thing we're really hoping for is a new game or something new from Bethesda Game Studios, and I feel like today some of the new announcements made by Bethesda Softworks actually indicate that that is coming. And just to clarify this even further, Bethesda's E3 conference is technically from Bethesda Softworks. Bethesda Game Studios just happens to be one of the developers that is published by Bethesda Softworks. Hopefully that clears things up. So what am I talking about? Well, basically, Bethesda's E3 2017 conference was an immense disappointment for many, myself included. We were hoping for something new and something good, and although some of the games announced there ended up being pretty cool, overall the conference didn't really have that big ringer announcement that everyone was hoping for from Bethesda Game Studios. So what did we actually get from Bethesda's E3 conference last year? Well, first and foremost, we actually got 2 new VR titles, that with Doom VFR and Fallout VR. Then we got Creation Club or something similar to that, bringing mods or DLC size things that cost money to the game. I don't know how you want to phrase that. Depending on whether you like it or dislike it is pretty much how people categorize it. Then we got the Elder Scrolls Skyrim on the Nintendo Switch. That was Skyrim's 8th new release, I believe. We also got a new DLC for Dishonored 2, that being Death of the Outsider. We got The Evil Within 2, or the announcement for that game. And we got Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, the reveal of that game. So we did get some new games at 2017's E3 conference. What we didn't get is anything really new from Bethesda Game Studios. Over the past few weeks, I've been talking a lot about my expectations and what's probably going to be appearing at their new E3 conference coming this June 10th. Something really interesting happened though ever since I made that original video, which I will have linked at the end of this one if you're interested in checking it out, and that's they actually made a lot of announcements. So specifically, 3 of the things I predicted to get announced at E3 in that video were actually announced since I made that video in the past week or 2. The first of which was some new Prey DLC. I actually had a tease of it when I made that video, like they tweeted a picture and it was very highly indicative of a new DLC coming or something new coming, and I talked about it in my video. What I didn't expect is for them to more or less announce it in their follow-up tweet that came a few days later. There's like a big thing called like Prey Day or something, and they had a whiteboard in the background that really clearly labels that, hey, a new DLC is coming, and this one actually will be announced at E3. The other 2 are actually a little bit more interesting. That's not really counted in the initial group of 3 things announced, but then we also got a new announcement for Wolfenstein 2 DLC. This is another one that me and many others actually predicted to get announced at E3. The Wolfenstein 2 was a well-selling game, it got good reviews, and all around just made a lot more sense to get more content for that game at this E3. Again, what we didn't expect is for the full reveal or the trailer for that new DLC to come out not at E3, but actually to come out last week. That was surprising because obviously they can't make the same announcement at E3 because, they already did. Following that, only a few days ago, we got the announcement of Skyrim Vr on the PC. Previously, Skyrim Vr was a PSVR exclusive, but now it's coming in a fully fledged version to Steam VR so you can play it on PC with whatever VR headset you do have. That is another thing I predicted to be announced at E3, but obviously it's not getting announced at E3, it's getting announced now. And then finally, the last one came only just yesterday, and that's going to be the announcement of a new DLC coming to the Elder Scrolls Online. And you know what that means? It's not getting announced at E3. So those are 3 announcements that I and many others predicted to be coming this E3 that actually aren't coming this E3 because they're already announced. Why is this important? As I kind of told you earlier in this video, a lot of the things announced at 2017's E3 were those games, so it kind of made sense for the DLCs to be announced at the next E3. Well, now that all those announcements are already made, it's freeing up more time and room for other announcements at this coming E3. Although I'm sure Bethesda's E3 conference could go on for hours and people would watch it, it really only is going to take up 1 hour or even a half hour like it did last year. They don't want to have it drag on, and even though there's no set time limit, the simple fact that so many of these announcements are coming now is a really good indicator that something big or something different is coming this E3. That coupled with a lot of the other things that have been popping up over the past few weeks, like that Todd Howard interview, which I will have a link to my video on that at the end of this one, really makes it look like that a new game by Bethesda Game Studios will be announced at this E3, whether it be Starfield, whether it be a new Fallout, which is very unlikely, but who knows. or even maybe a remaster of one of their older games, that being either the Elder Scrolls or a Fallout series game, would probably be likely. There's a lot of things pointing at this one. Obviously last year we had big leaks and things like that, but this is like hard-hitting evidence. Todd Howard talked in an interview about finishing up a game. A lot of these releases that we are expecting at E3 are getting announced beforehand, and this is not what happened last year. Last year it was relatively silent leading up to E3, which is really interesting. That's pretty much it for this video. I kind of rambled on in this one, but you know what? That's okay. But for our psychology fun fact of the day, we're going to be talking about friends. This one's probably less obvious, so I'm going to actually link this study down below. But what this guy found in 1991, that the mean number of friends your friends have is less than the mean number of friends you have. So basically your friends pretty much on average have more friends than you. This is evident by the fact that you're friends with them. So it creates a bias, and thus people that have friends are probably going to have more friends. It's kind of confusing, but whatever. The takeaway is your friends probably have more friends than you, and that's okay. Because there's somebody else out there that only has a few friends, and his friends have more friends than him also. I don't know if this is making any sense to any of you, but again, I'll have the full thing linked down below if you want to read about it or you're interested. Otherwise, you can click on screen right now to check out that video I talked about, and with that, I'll see you guys all next time. Later.